Welcome. What you are about to watch is not science fiction, and it is not folklore. It is a serious investigation into one of history's most compelling unresolved questions. The mystery of the black-eyed children, the terrifying modern urban legend that people keep insisting is real. Across the world, in universities, research institutes, and field excavations, serious scholars are wrestling with evidence that does not fit the accepted story. Evidence that has been documented, measured, and peer-reviewed, and that still has no satisfying conventional explanation. We are going to look at that evidence carefully, without prejudice in either direction, not dismissing what is extraordinary, but not accepting it without scrutiny either. The truth, as always, is in the details. The encounter always follows the same pattern. It is late at night. You are alone in your car, or in your house, or at a gas station. Children appear, 2 or 3 of them, usually between 8 and 16 years old, dressed in dark or outdated clothing. They knock on your car window or your front door. They speak in a flat, affectless voice, asking to be let into your car, into your house. And then you notice their eyes. No white visible, no iris, no pupil, just solid, featureless black from edge to edge. You feel a wave of profound, irrational dread. Not the ordinary fear of strangers, but something deeper, something that bypasses rationality and goes straight to some primal part of your brain that says, do not let them in. The black-eyed children, or BEK, black-eyed kids, entered popular consciousness in 1998 when journalist Brian Bethel posted an account on a paranormal mailing list describing an encounter in a parking lot in Abilene, Texas, in which 2 boys with completely black eyes attempted to enter his car. Bethel's account was the first widely circulated report of the specific phenomenon and set the template for all subsequent reports. The flat voice, the compulsive request for entry, the overwhelming dread, the solid black eyes. Within a decade, hundreds of similar reports had appeared online from across the United States, Canada, the UK, and other countries. The similarity of the accounts suggests either a real phenomenon, encounters with real entities, or the mechanics of an urban legend in progress. The black-eyed children occupy an unusual position in paranormal culture. They are simultaneously a clearly traceable modern invention, originating in Bethel's 1998 post, and a phenomenon that hundreds of people sincerely claim to have personally experienced, including many who had never heard of the prior accounts. They have been connected to vampire mythology, alien mythology, demonic entities, and the phenomenon of unexplained missing time. Whether they represent something real, an encounter with unknown entities, or a fascinating study in how urban legends propagate and how the mind creates experiences to match stories it has absorbed, the black-eyed children phenomenon is one of the most distinctive paranormal memes of the 21st century. This is where our investigation begins. Stay with us, because the further we go into the evidence, the more extraordinary it becomes. The story you think you know is only the surface. Beneath it lies something far more remarkable. Let us begin. Before we go further, if you are finding this investigation compelling, please take a moment right now to like this video, drop a comment below with your thoughts, and share it with someone who loves a good historical mystery. If you are watching on YouTube, hit subscribe and tap the bell icon so you never miss a new episode. If you found us through Facebook, tap follow on our page. It takes just a few seconds, and it genuinely helps us keep making these documentaries. Now, let us get back to the investigation. Before we examine the specific evidence, we need to step back and understand the context. This case does not exist in isolation. It sits within the landscape of modern documented mysteries, and to properly evaluate what we are looking at, we need to understand the broader picture that surrounds it. Human perception is fallible. This is not an insult, it is neuroscience. The brain does not passively record reality, it actively constructs it, filling gaps with expectation, inferring causes from insufficient data, and storing memories that are reshaped by subsequent experience. Eyewitness testimony is the weakest form of courtroom evidence precisely because what people see and what actually happened frequently diverge. Sound can cause visual hallucinations. Infrasound at specific frequencies can produce feelings of dread, the sensation of a presence, and even visual disturbances. Sleep deprivation, stress, and hypoxia can generate vivid experiences indistinguishable from waking reality. All of this is relevant when evaluating modern mysteries. Many apparently anomalous experiences have prosaic explanations rooted in human neurology, temporal lobe activity, hypnagogic hallucinations, shared social expectation shaping perception. A willingness to consider these explanations is not dismissiveness, it is intellectual hygiene. The brain is capable of generating extraordinarily convincing experiences that have no external cause, and yet, the perceptual explanation has its limits. It cannot account for physical evidence, radiation burns, landing traces, electromagnetic interference on electronic equipment, or anomalous readings on calibrated instruments. When multiple independent witnesses, separated by distance, report identical details, mass hallucination strains credulity. When physical measurements corroborate subjective experience, the neurological explanation is insufficient. These are the cases that demand another look. This context matters because it tells us something important. What we are about to investigate is not an isolated curiosity. It is part of a pattern that researchers in multiple fields have been independently documenting for decades, and patterns in science demand explanation. With that foundation in place, let us now turn to the specific case at hand. Now we reach the heart of the matter. The core evidence surrounding the black-eyed children, the terrifying modern urban legend that people keep insisting is real, is more extensive, more verified, and more troubling for conventional explanations than most people realize. Let us walk through it systematically, fact by fact, and allow the evidence to speak for itself. We are not going to speculate here. Every point that follows is documented in peer-reviewed publications, official archaeological records, or government archives that are publicly accessible. The question is not whether these facts are real. The question is what they mean. Consider this first extraordinary detail. Brian Bethel's 1998 online account, posted to the Ghost Hunts mailing list, describes an encounter in a parking lot in Abilene, Texas, in which two boys, approximately 12-14 years old, approached his car and asked for a ride home. Bethel felt a powerful wave of unexplained dread before noticing the boys' solid black eyes. He describes fighting an inexplicable compulsion to unlock his car door before coming to his senses and driving away. Bethel is a professional journalist who has discussed the account publicly many times and maintains that it happened as described. His account is the de facto founding document of the BEK phenomenon. This single data point, if taken in isolation, might be set aside. Anomalies happen, instruments malfunction, researchers make mistakes, but as we continue, you will see that this is not an isolated anomaly, it is part of a consistent and documented pattern. But that is only the beginning. Researchers also discovered the spread of BEK accounts after Bethel's original post followed the classic pattern of internet urban legend propagation. The original account was shared on paranormal websites, adapted into slightly different versions, and generated similar reports from other people who had either genuinely had similar experiences or were inspired by the template to report their own embellished versions. By 2010, the BEK phenomenon had been covered in multiple paranormal books, several TV documentaries, and had its own dedicated online communities. The phenomenon's visual internet meme potential, the image of solid black eyes, is striking and shareable, significantly accelerated its cultural spread. Now, a skeptic might propose an alternative explanation for this, and that is entirely reasonable. We should always test alternative explanations before accepting extraordinary ones. The problem is that the alternative explanations, when examined carefully, create more problems than they solve. The mystery deepens when we examine the consistent elements across BEK reports: flat voice, request for entry into a private space, overwhelming dread, solid black eyes, night setting, are more consistent than typical urban legend variations. Urban legends normally diversify as they spread. with each retelling adding local details and personal embellishments that create divergent versions. BEK accounts show unusual stability in their core elements across reports from different countries and cultural contexts, which some researchers have cited as evidence for a real phenomenon, and others have cited as evidence for the template's strong influence on how people shape and report anomalous experiences. This is where the conventional account begins to strain. Each individual fact might be dismissed or minimized in isolation, but the cumulative weight of the evidence is another matter entirely. Perhaps most remarkable of all, proposed explanations for the BEK phenomenon from a psychological/neurological perspective include accounts of individuals with aniridia, a congenital condition causing absence of the iris, which can produce a large, dark appearance in the eye. Encounters with costumed individuals wearing theatrical black eye contact lenses available commercially, sleep paralysis or hypnagogic hallucinations, which can produce encounters with threatening figures and overwhelming dread, and false memories constructed from the template of Bethel's original account, absorbed subconsciously before the individual's own encounter report. Researchers who have examined this evidence have described it as genuinely difficult to explain within the accepted framework. These are not fringe commentators. They are credentialed academics publishing in mainstream journals, raising questions that the field has not yet satisfactorily answered. Then there is the matter of the BEK phenomenon has significant overlap with older supernatural traditions from multiple cultures. The requirement that they be invited in before entering echoes vampire mythology, which traditionally requires an invitation to cross a threshold. The compelling dread, the suggestion of extreme danger, and the flat effect are consistent with demonic encounter traditions across multiple cultures. Some researchers have proposed that BEK reports represent modern expressions of encounters with entities from older supernatural traditions, reinterpreted through the cultural frame of the 21st century, alien-looking eyes rather than fangs or horns. What makes this particularly significant is its independence from the previous points. This is not a case of one theory requiring another. These are separate lines of evidence converging on the same uncomfortable conclusion. Adding to the enigma is this finding. The social science perspective on BEK accounts focuses on what they reveal about contemporary anxieties about childhood and children. The image of threatening children, children who look wrong, who speak wrong, who want something from you and can harm you if you let them in, resonates with contemporary anxieties about child safety, stranger danger, and the uncanny quality of children who behave outside expected norms. Several cultural critics have noted that the BEK phenomenon emerged during a period, late 1990s 2000, when cultural anxieties about stranger danger, child predation, and the fear of wrongly trusting children were particularly prominent in North American media culture. Taken together, these facts form a pattern that cannot be explained by coincidence, misidentification, or methodological error. Each piece of evidence has been examined by skeptics. Each has been subjected to alternative explanations, and in each case, the alternative explanation falls short of accounting for everything that has been documented. We are left with a body of evidence that demands explanation and an accepted narrative that does not provide one. This is where serious inquiry begins. Now that we have established the evidence, we need to examine the theories that researchers have proposed to explain the black-eyed children, the terrifying modern urban legend that people keep insisting is real. This is where the debate becomes most intense, because the theories reflect not just different interpretations of the same evidence, but fundamentally different assumptions about what is possible and what the past looked like. Understanding these theories is not just an academic exercise. Each one has been championed by serious researchers with genuine credentials, and each one captures something that the others miss. Truth, if it is ever established, will likely draw on elements of several. The first major explanation proposed by researchers holds that the real entity theory, held by many within paranormal research communities, proposes that black-eyed children are genuine non-human entities, whether demonic, extraterrestrial, interdimensional, or some other category, that appear to humans in the form of children, specifically because this form is socially compelling and disarming. Under this theory, the consistent reports from across different cultures and time periods reflect genuine encounters with the same type of entity, and the overwhelming dread experienced by witnesses is a physiological response to a genuinely threatening non-human presence. The entity's insistence on being invited in is interpreted as a supernatural constraint that can be circumvented only through the victim's voluntary cooperation. This interpretation has significant academic support and is backed by substantial evidence, but it is not without problems. Critics point out that it requires assumptions that go beyond what the evidence strictly supports, and that key predictions of this theory have not been confirmed by subsequent research. It remains contested, and the contest is productive. A rival school of thought argues that the social contagion/legend spread theory holds that BEK accounts are a textbook example of an internet urban legend that propagates through the mechanism of experience confirmation. People who encounter Bethel's original account unconsciously incorporate its elements into their own anomalous experience reports, either through deliberate embellishment or through the genuine psychological process by which absorbed cultural narratives shape reported experiences. Under this model, Bethel's original account, which may itself have been a sincere report of a real but mundane encounter that he interpreted through a paranormal frame, created a template that subsequent reporters mapped onto their own ambiguous experiences. This theory is controversial, and deliberately so. Its proponents argue that the evidence demands an explanation outside the conventional framework. Critics counter that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and that the evidence presented, while suggestive, does not yet meet that standard. The debate continues in peer-reviewed literature. Perhaps the most unconventional theory suggests that the anomalous perception theory, a middle position, proposes that some proportion of BEK reports reflect genuine anomalous perceptual experiences, encounters with actual individuals whose appearance was unusual, eye conditions, contact lenses, unusual clothing, that were processed and reported through the lens of the available cultural template. Under this model, there may be a real phenomenon, encounters with unusual-looking individuals who provoke unexplained anxiety, that has been captured and amplified by the BEK legend. The template provides a language for reporting experiences that resist conventional description, allowing multiple people to describe genuine but different anomalous experiences in superficially identical terms. What is striking about this debate is not merely that experts disagree. That is normal and healthy in science. What is striking is the quality of the disagreement. Serious researchers, working from the same body of evidence, reaching genuinely different conclusions. That level of fundamental disagreement, when it persists over decades, is a signal that something important has not yet been understood. The question is not which of these theories is right. The question is whether any of them is right, or whether the truth is something that none of the current frameworks has yet been able to capture. The case surrounding the black-eyed children, the terrifying modern urban legend that people keep insisting is real, does not rest on speculation alone. What distinguishes this investigation from pure mythology is the existence of documented, physical, verifiable evidence, material that has been examined by credentialed researchers and whose authenticity is not seriously disputed. What is disputed is its interpretation. Let us review the most significant documented evidence as objectively as possible. We are not going to cherry-pick the data that supports a preferred conclusion. We are going to lay out what exists and let you draw your own assessment. Physical evidence supporting this account includes: the primary evidence for the BEK phenomenon is the corpus of reported accounts, which numbers in the hundreds across online databases maintained by paranormal researchers. Analysis of this corpus by researchers including David Weatherly, who published The Black-Eyed Children in 2012, has attempted to identify patterns in when, where, and to whom encounters are reported. Weatherly found correlations between BEK reports and areas with high UFO report rates, which he interpreted as evidence for a connection between BEK entities and UFO phenomenon. Critics note that both UFO reports and BEK reports correlate with internet access and paranormal community activity, suggesting the connection is epidemiological rather than ontological. This evidence has been subjected to independent verification. Skeptics have examined it. Alternative explanations have been proposed and tested. The data remains. The question of what it means remains open. Investigators have documented. Brian Bethel's consistent and detailed account, maintained over more than 25 years of public discussion, is the foundational piece of testimonial evidence. Bethel's professional background as a journalist and his willingness to discuss the account in detail in multiple interviews has given the original report credibility within paranormal research communities. However, testimonial evidence, even from credible sources, cannot in itself establish the reality of an entity or phenomenon without corroborating physical evidence, which for BEK encounters does not exist. This evidence has been subjected to independent verification. Skeptics have examined it. Alternative explanations have been proposed and tested. The data remains. The question of what it means remains open. On-site analysis revealed the absence of physical evidence, no photograph, no video, no physical traces, no independent corroboration from non-witness observers, is the central evidential limitation of the BEK phenomenon. In an era when virtually every person carries a camera phone at all times, the continued absence of any clear photographic or video evidence of an entity with fully black eyes in an outdoor setting is significant. The most common counterargument is that the overwhelming dread produced by the encounter prevents witnesses from reaching for their phones, a feature of the experience that cannot be independently verified. This evidence has been subjected to independent verification. Skeptics have examined it. Alternative explanations have been proposed and tested. The data remains. The question of what it means remains open. Each individual piece of evidence might, in principle, be explained away. A single anomalous artifact might be misidentified. A single anomalous date might reflect contamination. A single anomalous eyewitness account might reflect misperception. The question is whether all of the evidence can be explained away, and whether the explanations required are more or less plausible than the evidence itself. When multiple independent lines of inquiry converge on the same conclusion, that convergence is the most powerful signal in empirical science. And that is exactly what we are seeing here. We have examined the history, the evidence, and the theories surrounding the black-eyed children, the terrifying modern urban legend that people keep insisting is real. Now, we need to ask the question that is sometimes overlooked in discussions of ancient mysteries. Why does this matter? What does it mean for us today? It would be easy to file this away as an interesting historical curiosity, a puzzle from a distant past with no bearing on our present lives. That would be a fundamental mistake. The questions raised by this case touch on issues that are directly relevant to who we are, where we came from, and what the human story actually looks like before the period covered by conventional history. The black-eyed children phenomenon has generated a significant popular culture footprint since its origin in 1998, including multiple novels, horror films, YouTube series, and television documentary segments. The Destination America Network aired a documentary series called Alien Highway that included a BEK episode. Several horror films with BEK-inspired antagonists have been produced, including Black-Eyed Kids, 2012, and Slender Man, which shares structural elements with the BEK narrative. The phenomenon is regularly covered in paranormal podcasts and YouTube channels, reaching millions of listeners. The BEK phenomenon's cultural persistence, despite or because of its clearly traceable origin in a single 1998 online post, makes it a case study in the formation and evolution of contemporary supernatural belief. Unlike older supernatural traditions that developed over centuries with untraceable origins, the BEK phenomenon can be watched developing in real time. Its origin, spread, variation, and cultural impact, all documented in online archives that allow researchers to study legend formati on as a live process. Whether or not black-eyed children are real entities, the phenomenon's development is real, and its psychological and cultural effects on the people who report encounters are real and deserving of serious study. Furthermore, the tools available to investigate these questions are advancing rapidly. Satellite imaging, ground-penetrating radar, ancient DNA analysis, isotopic tracing, and deep-sea sonar are all providing capabilities that previous generations of researchers could only dream of. Cases that were genuinely unresolvable 10 years ago are now open to new analysis, and the findings, consistently, are expanding rather than contracting the mystery. The investigation continues. New discoveries are being made. New analyses are being published. New voices are entering the conversation from disciplines that were not previously part of the discussion. The answers, when they come, and they will come, will not merely solve a historical puzzle. They will force a fundamental revision of assumptions that underpin our entire understanding of human history and human potential. We have now walked through the complete case of the black-eyed children, the terrifying modern urban legend that people keep insisting is real, from the historical echoed through the physical evidence, across the competing theories, and into the modern significance of what remains unresolved. What the story of black-eyed children ultimately reveals is not just a historical puzzle. It is a mirror. It reflects our assumptions back at us, our assumptions about what ancient people were capable of, about how knowledge is gained and lost across the centuries, and about the relationship between what we know and what we merely think we know. The evidence presented in this documentary is real. The questions it raises are genuine. The debate among researchers is ongoing, and that is healthy. Science is not a set of conclusions. It is a process. And the process requires that we remain open to evidence that challenges what we thought we knew, however uncomfortable that challenge might be. If you came to this documentary as a skeptic, we hope the evidence gave you something to think about. If you came as a true believer, we hope the critical examination gave you a more nuanced picture. The truth, as always, lies in the evidence, not in what we want to be true. Thank you for watching. If this investigation sparked your curiosity, please help us reach more people. If you are watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new documentary. If you are watching on Facebook, tap the follow button on our page to stay connected. We publish new documentaries every week, covering the full range of historical mysteries that the mainstream has not yet adequately explained. Leave a comment telling us which case you want us to investigate next. The conversation continues. The investigation never ends.